Welcome to the Strength Connection podcast, a show to share stories, insights, and experiences from some of the greatest coaches in the world. I'm Michael Kurkowski, so grateful for you joining me today. And if you like this episode, please like, share, and subscribe to support the show. All right, let's dive in. Here we go.
All right, welcome everybody. James Cappola, really great to meet you, man. I'm honored to have you on.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, no doubt. Another New Yorker, so I'm always pumped when I have New Yorkers on. No, as I mentioned off air, I've been a fan of the work that you've put out, for a while. I think I saw your work maybe a few years ago, when your friend Andrew Coates, I know you guys connected with, and then I saw the work that you're doing with social media, but really just the message around, really helping people get to the simplicity of stuff. So yeah, really wanted to have you on and just have a good conversation. So it should be fun.
Great, man.
Yeah.
That's-
How did this all start for you? Like bring it back to the early days. What first got you into the world of coaching and what kind of inspired you to want to get into the field of working with people and in service?
Well, I've always had that part about me that wanted to intrinsically help people. Like, even though I wasn't that popular, people still came to me for like advice about stuff because I always gave people that option to talk to me or vent to me. And I think I just get that from my mother,
Mhm.
because she's amazing at that. And it was a long time that I know that I wanted to just help people. I just didn't know what route it would be. Right.
Mhm.
And I was a fat kid growing up until I'd say like 13, 14, and just like bullied and everything. And basically from the bullying, I realized I had to get into shape. So I did football, wrestling, and track and field. And then I just got jacked. And then I found an avenue to focus all my efforts down.
Mhm.
And it became very easy to see what my future was going to be from there. So I started like having lunch with my phys ed like teachers just to pick their brains, my wrestling coaches, football coaches, learning about lifting, nutrition, everything like that. I trained people for free just to gain experience. And it was a no-brainer that I was going to go to school for exercise science. So I got my degree at Manhattan College. And then I just had an in-person training career until 2020. I had every job in the fitness
Mhm.
industry, from a beginning level trainer to a master trainer to a fitness manager to just doing all that. And
Mhm.
when 2020 came and we got furloughed, it was a no-brainer that I just had to open up my own business with my wife. So we did that. And we had a large clientele. So we didn't have that lapse period where we were desperate for revenue while we were building our brand and the skills needed.
Mhm.
Thank God. And everything just kind of fell into place from there.
Yeah. What was the reception like from your coaches early on? Were they really like, was that you like intrinsically going and asking questions, or were they kind of like bringing you in because they knew you were like a sponge and wanted to teach you more?
No, it was just me. Well, I asked a lot of questions to begin with, whether it was about movies or like anything. Like, I was a little annoying, but really they knew that I just wanted to learn. I wasn't that great of like a student when it came to other things that I wasn't too interested in. I do have ADHD, but they knew that I wanted to learn this, and they were all for it because they were excited to teach it. So yeah, that's how I. And there's a lot of things that they taught me that now I know are like outdated, right?
Hmm.
Like
Right.
a lot of like them just felt like sugar is just like the worst thing ever. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll write that down.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, it's like, at the early stages, it's like the apprenticeship of mastery. You just absorb all this stuff and eventually you probably refine things out to what really works the best at that point. What was it like going from being an overweight kid and then all of a sudden feeling the body changes? Was that like a positive response right off the bat that kind of brought you into that, or what was that journey like?
I was never like, I was aware, I could see that I lost a ton of weight. I could see that people would compliment me and be like, oh, wow, you're jacked.
Mhm.
But as far as how I felt, I was never fulfilled. It was never enough. I still wasn't worthy enough, right? Because there's like perceived flaws in like anyone if you look hard enough. And I only saw my perceived flaws as opposed to what I should have been proud of.
Mm,
And that's what led me down disordered eating and actions and things like that.
yeah. Did you, it's interesting. I kind of had a similar past in my life. Did you recognize that like in real time, or was
No,
that
I
a
thought it
lot
was
of
discipline.
retrospect?
I just thought it was discipline. I thought
Mm.
if I eat something indulgent, I have to go for a 5 mile run because that's what you do.
The the punish and reward system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did, I guess I did know because I never ever said that to my clients. So there's a part of me that knows that I was a little messed up and I did protect them, but I just thought I was above the rule
Mm. That's interesting. That's why did you think you were above the rule? Have you thought of that?
because I was in the profession. So I thought that the standards were different as opposed to just general population. Like there's no need for you to go run 5 miles after something. I believe the whole walking billboard thing.
Mm. Yeah, you have to look the part. You have the badge on your polo shirt. So,
That's what I thought. But
mm,
like, honestly, though, like with how much I drank and everything like that, and like party drugs and whatever, like I still didn't, it's not like I valued my health. I was just like, as long as I look the part, that's it. Even
mm,
if I'm miserable, even if I destroy my body in other ways. If I can see the visible abs, if I can see my pecs, arms, I'm good.
mm. Yeah, strong outer shell.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Kind of like, when back in the day, maybe your mom asked you to clean like your room and you threw everything in the closet and you just had the door shut and like whatever mess was inside, at least the room looked clean.
Hmm.
It was like that.
Yeah.
With
It's a beautiful analogy.
yeah, that's what was going on in my head.
Yeah, till eventually that door just swings open and everything falls all over the place from there.
Yeah.
So I had an interesting one. Like I had leukemia when I was 3. So from prednisone
Wow.
was, an overweight kid. Was bullied. I never really thought it was bullying as much when I was a kid. It was just, I thought it was like kids being kids type stuff, not
Sure.
realizing until later in time, like that did impact me. But then I shot up and got really skinny. So kind of like went the opposite end. So it was always like a body image thing till you do kind of early on, I think in life, when you do get in better shape and you start seeing the external and people's attention is just a little bit different. It's a hard thing not to, puff your chest out and peacock a little bit too. And I think everybody probably has that, in a bit from there. How long did that go on for you before your mind started shifting? And you mentioned disordered eating, some like body dysmorphia. How far and how long
I'd
did that go
say
on?
it was about 8 years for like the exercise bulimia and stuff to stop, but another 2 or 3 years for me to really start with the mental work.
Mhm.
So I'd say like 8 to 11 years or so with everything.
Yeah. It's a long time.
Yeah.
So, what pivoted? Was there a specific moment or specific moments that kind of made the final like shift? Was it like,
Yeah, it just because of how hard I was on myself, I wasn't consistent based on the extremes that I would go to reach a perceived level of health. And when I fell short of that, my guilt was too much to really absorb or feel. So I would numb myself by going out and blacking out and everything. And I knew that something was wrong because I wasn't feeling better. I was getting more tired. I was getting more achy. I was getting more like lethargic. I was getting softer. I'm like, well, as I'm getting older, I should be getting healthier. And it was just kind of like after I saw this blacked out photo of me at a bachelor party in 2021, I was just like, all right, that's it. I have to meet myself where I'm at. I have to be okay with being soft. I have to be okay with whatever body I'm in right now, because if I'm not okay with it now, I'm never going to be. And the only way I can show up for myself consistently is by just meeting myself where I'm at and telling everyone else to go fuck themselves. Sorry if you can't curse here, but
Oh, yes, no, it's all good. Just go after it. So, okay. What was the process like for you of shifting that mindset in that I think it's, sometimes we hear these things of like, this happened and then one day everything changed from there. But oftentimes it's a journey to get out of that mental state, 8 to 11 years of being in that. What was that process like of shifting into more of the mindset that you have now?
well, I had to say no to a lot of things, like a lot of parties and clubs and things like that. I had to stop distracting myself. I had to feel the pain that I was avoiding. And that was hard, but I just kept delaying it. So once I was able to kind of grab hold of it and understand what it was that I had to do, and I actually made goals besides just like looking the part, I was able
Mm,
to focus on specific strength, on like mobility, on my cardiovascular health, everything that I should have been focusing on. And when I saw wins in those like areas, when I saw that I was advancing, then I was getting the dopamine that I was missing from my aesthetics, basically. So I became more addicted to that, and then the aesthetics kind of just fell into place.
mm. Yeah. How did you go about that? Was that a personal thing that you worked on yourself? Did you have people that reached out to that helped you along with this journey?
No, no, it was all me.
It's all you.
Yeah. I started with my therapist when I ruptured my C5 and C6 and I couldn't lift for the first time like ever. And I went into like a severe depression. And that was when I started with her, but I already did all the work on myself. And thank God, because if this was me when I was 26 and I had that injury, I wouldn't have listened. I would have worked out. And I probably
Mm,
would have messed myself up for a very long time.
yeah. That's a hard journey to go on by yourself. Like, did you
I know.
feel, yeah, did you feel like it was like I need to do this on my own, or was it more just I'm just going to
No,
work on this step by step?
it was, I knew it was going to be a while, but I needed it done as soon as possible. And I didn't want to go through looking for a therapist that would fit and trying them out and stuff. Like I was just like, that's just a distraction right now. I just need
Mm,
to do this. And I'm sure that if I just took the time to find some extra help, they probably could have helped me faster, but it is what it is.
yeah. What was that like? I think, saying no to the things that don't serve us anymore, I think is so much more valuable than just adding more stuff into our life. I've thought of this quote of, knowledge is expansion, but wisdom is refinement. And that's, kind of like it's more powerful and you're going to get more from saying no to things. I think it's a harder journey to do, but saying no to things like parties and going out, what was the response like of the people around you? Like, was there a positive reception, or was that a challenging thing as far as shifting not just your own life, but also probably some people around you at the same time?
It's a sort of thing that like you get used to just a certain like culture and just a certain vibe of going out, you know what to expect, right? So if like you're not drinking, it's just like, what's wrong, right? Like nothing's wrong, just don't want to do this right now. And it's like, what? Just have a few. And I'm like, like I don't want to explain it because if I do explain it, you're not going to want to hear it.
Yeah.
So just forget about it. And there were a lot of times where I did kind of just like cave in. So I eventually just had to say no to going out like at all.
Mhm.
And it is what it is, but I'm happy that it happened.
Yeah. Was there specific, did you do this in like specific things like conditioning first, like strength? Like, how did you approach this as far as like specific goals that you set for yourself to move into this other path?
Well, just like I would coach my clients, I was like, okay, I need a set number of steps. I think I could knock out 10 to 12,000 based on my schedule.
Hmm.
Need about this many grams of protein. I can do that. Fiber, I can do that. My workouts, I don't need to work out every day because I'm not desperately trying to fit a mold, so I can fit this in. And I was just making it as realistic as possible. And then where I saw that I could progressively overload in advance, I did that. And I just kept track of myself. And I now know that I was moving forward instead of always feeling like I was falling behind.
Mm, yeah. Did you feel that early on with this, or did it still
No,
take a little while?
no. So I'm open on my page about me being prescribed TRT. I take a topical solution that's like not much at all. It just brings me normal levels. But based on everything that I've done to my body, plus massive insomnia and things like that, my testosterone plummeted. And when I was getting my shit together and being very consistent, I was like, okay, I'm not being hard on myself. I should be seeing more results, right?
Mhm.
Like there just comes a time where like there's a period of time where I was drinking and partying every weekend and I was in like denial as to why I didn't have results. But like when I got my shit together, I was like, all right, something's off in addition to this because
Right.
I don't need to be shredded right now, but I should have something with how consistent I've been.
Sure.
And I got checked and my testosterone was like in the low fours. And based on the recovery that I needed much more than that. So I got prescribed this, and then everything just started feeling better and falling into place.
Mhm.
And then from there, it was just so much easier to see my path with no obstacles.
Yeah. That's an important step, right? It's like we talk about like, do the simple things and the consistent things and progress is going to go. But if you are doing those things and stuff like that and something's still off, then that's
Yeah,
really, I mean, that's like the opportunity to, okay, maybe I do need to seek this out a little bit more.
yeah, I was like realistic. Like my pecs weren't really like formed; they were a little like saggy, but like I was really like bloated and I wasn't sleeping well. And I'm like, just something is wrong with my recovery. Like I know
Mhm.
that this isn't just a lack of willpower, lack of like consistency. So I would advise anyone, especially when they're getting up in their 30s, to get their testosterone checked or like any like hormone panel or anything if you notice like consistent like issues.
Yeah. Did you see a shift in your coaching approach at all while you were going through this personal journey, or was that always felt like you were doing the right things for your clientele, even though maybe you weren't looking in the mirror and doing the same thing?
I would say I was always doing the right thing for my clientele. I think at the most I've done going down like even close to a toxic route is telling a client to have their coffee black. Like that's like as far as I went, right? Like I never really like forbid like any food or anything like that because I knew how crazy would I be to black out almost every weekend and tell someone that they can't have like bread, right? So I knew myself that that would be fucked up. So like I would say if I learned anything, it's just about going out of the corporate mindset when I was a fitness manager and stuff, it's sales first, and that's just what they do. So you
Yeah.
think of anything and everything to tell them how much weight they're going to lose by X amount of time, and this is the package that they're going to need. Rather
Yep.
than that, I just forgot about all that. I assume nothing, and I truly just listen to what the client wants. I say on the pinned video on my page, I have a very thorough screening process, and if we're not a good fit, then I don't let you advance to the next phase of making an investment because I don't want this to be a shit experience for you. So I had to take off like the salesman hat. Basically, I would say that that's what changed.
Yeah. That's an interesting thing because I managed a team of 12 for about
Mhm.
10 years, kind of in the same role. It was sales first, and I had an I have a love-hate relationship with that time, from there because it's very enjoyable. I think you learn a lot about people when you're in that position of hearing their stories and connecting with it. But at the same time, it's, oh yeah, by X amount, time, like this is what you're supposed to do. I mean, but it always kind of you feel like a little skin crawly afterwards. So that's why
Yeah.
when I left there, I changed my approach in the same way. But it is an easy, it can be an easy path, specifically when I think you're a young coach, to think that whatever you're doing, that's the same prescription that you need to give to other people, maybe just from ignorance and you don't know what else to do. But it
Right.
seems like you already, like you had a different mindset right off the bat of like, empathy, like, actually listening to people before. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. Yeah. like I said, I got it from my mom. She's the best at it, you know. She will listen to me all day and not say one thing about herself. And I just got used to that, and so did my sister. And my dad, not so much. But it's always been something that I know that I haven't faked. There were some things throughout my career I'm sure that I faked, you know,
Sure.
just for approval. But that was always 100% genuine.
Yeah. So when was it that you started to pivot and going deep into social media? You've built a really strong community of a lot
Yeah.
of, great people, mostly a lot of positive, comments in there. I know there's some negative shit that goes at you as well, which I'll ask you about. But when did you start making that shift into pushing more on the social fronts?
I think I made my first like TikTok um 2021,
Mhm.
I think, and it was extremely uncomfortable because I was at the height of my body dysmorphia, trying to get over past thought patterns of getting rid of my fat as soon as possible, right? This was like when I was starting to do this like the right way, like pretty much.
Mhm.
And I just had to keep showing up. Like yesterday, I found this post of me from doing a Facebook Live, and oh my God, I looked so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And like I could just see my body language. I wasn't making eye contact. I was just like, I was bigger. I could definitely tell that even though I was younger, I looked so much older based on the lifestyle I was living. And I just had to keep showing up. I had to just be as uncomfortable as possible. And there's a reason there's a reason why like all my reposts, I don't like repost anything before like last year because I think
Sure.
that the majority of my content from 2021 to 2023 was like and
What was that about it? Just your feeling and like the uncomfortableness, or was it more of like the stuff, like the message that you felt like it was not aligning with kind of what you focus on now?
at the time I couldn't believe that I didn't see how bad my body language was of how self-conscious I was. Like really like the phone up to here,
Hmm.
flexing as much as I can, holding pillows, holding a blanket, right? Like flexing while I talk. It was just like, I guess I just did what I had to without really thinking about it.
Hmm.
And I was starting to get the views. And then I think there was one video in late 2022 or something that went viral. And that was when my like Instagram started to blow up. And then eventually I just gave like 80% of my attention to Instagram.
Yeah.
And then once I knew that I had an audience, and once I knew who I was talking to and why I was talking to them, and also my following sends me everything that I respond to. So it's very, very easy. And
Yeah.
like talking to the camera is like effortless now.
Yeah.
Like people are like, how do you have time to do it all day? And I'm just like, even if I make 10 posts, I probably spend about 30 minutes total.
Right. Yeah. And you can see that too. I mean, it's very raw, it's very authentic, and you can see it's flowing, from there. What was have you thought like why you've gotten such a big response like after a bit, like the message that you're sending? Do you analyze that at all of like, oh my God, like so many people are listening to me? Why do you think that so many people have connected?
Because I think that I found this great middle ground of being very tough and no bullshit, along with being very genuine and sweet. And I think that people know that I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm not going to back down. And as strong as I am, I'm just as supportive. And I have no problem being vulnerable. There's nothing that anyone can embarrass me with because I basically admit anything and everything.
Yeah.
I feel like people aren't being like deceived and they know that my intentions are genuine.
Yeah. There's a couple ones that really hit me that you put out. One is I think you've reposted it a few times of you in like ripped up like in a lean spot, but you have a very stoic face on. And I've had that face before of doing stuff myself, and I think a lot of other people resonate with that of kind of seeing like, yeah, on the outer shell, everything looks like tight and ripped, but you can totally see on the face that there's this tough thing that's going on within the mind. That was one that really impacted me and that I saw right off the bat. I don't know when that was. It might have been a few years ago from there, but that was one of the first ones that really seemed like it hit home.
Yeah, and I know exactly what picture you're talking about, and it's because I'm laser focused on like my lower belly, on my pecs, on anything that could be seen as less than, right? And I never even thought of smiling,
Mhm.
you know, like no one cares about your stupid face, just your body.
I think it's what it brought to me, James, is, I think I talked about this a couple times on the podcast, but there's this narrative I feel that gains so much traction, specifically for men on this Sigma male, like nobody cares, work harder, like you don't need anybody, fuck everybody else, like you just need to be in your own zone. And I know personally from my experience, like of just going into my own shell was when I was the most anxious. I was the most stressed out. I
Yeah.
felt like I didn't have anything else. When I finally actually reached out and was vulnerable, that was actually the strength that I was looking for from there. So I think a message like that is so powerful for everybody, but I specifically do think for men because we're fed so much of this stuff of like you just need to, put the blinders on and discipline is everything from there. And I think the approach that you had was just a very nice way of using empathy in the best possible way for that.
Yeah, and it's just a shame, like how lost some of these like young men are who just feel like I just need to get more jacked. I just need to get more ripped. That will solve everything. And it's just like that's what they want you to think. That's future you is going to be like, what the hell are you doing? Why does this matter? Are you going to put your DEXA scan on your tombstone? Like what? What? Why
Mhm.
does this matter? Just exist. I understand if you're a competing bodybuilder or something like that. I get it. But if you're not, who cares? It drives me nuts. And it's amazing how, like, when people fat shame me, they really think that, like, I'm gonna, like, stay up at night, just, like, being upset. But, like, back in the day, I would have, because that was my only sense of, like, self. That was my only value. And if someone didn't approve of it, then I thought I was worthless. But now, with how much I have, and with me seeing someone in that position who only values that, I pity them.
Mhm.
I'm not upset by it. I
Yeah.
like
Yeah. When did you start going into more of the work of I won't call it call out because I don't think it's a call out of what you do because I think you do very well at speaking to your audience and not trying to battle another person. But when did it start going into the approach of trying to, bring down these misconceptions or these kind of like bullshit things that are out there?
I'll tell you exactly when. It was like summer 2022, I think. And it was this woman who said, like, have this like replacement for like Diet Cola. It was like a disgusting combination. I'm trying to remember like what it was, but it was definitely gross. And I'm like, stop trying to make things other things. You can have Diet Coke. And there's this big like video that went like viral. And I'm like, oh, okay, I think I like this. And then I did one where I stood up for an obese woman at the airport who was getting taped like eating, and that went viral. And then that kind of made me feel like a social justice person. And I'm like, oh, I can do that too. And in my earlier stuff, I think I was a bit more mean-spirited as opposed to actually getting it done with style and grace. Like, of course, I'm still like kind of mean now, but like then it was just like not really like thinking about it mean,
Sure.
right? And I think that now I kind of have like an art like to it that I can really let someone have it, but still be calm and like opposed,
Yeah.
basically. But yeah, I just realized how much that was helping and how it was doing. And the people who think that I bully other people or that I'm doing the exact same thing just don't understand it.
When did that approach kind of shift for you? Like, did you recognize, like, I think I'm just being too like combative on this and I want to take a different approach, or how did that kind of evolve for you?
Like, I feel like I was just very reactive as opposed to someone who thought their response through, right? Like, I curse a lot, but like back then it was like every other word and just like so angry and just like,
Yeah, Rockland County. What can you do?
and I just feel like I could do this with more style. I could still curse, I can still be angry, but I can have a point to it as opposed to just like berating someone,
Mhm.
right? And I can bring more of a thought process to it that will even get some of the followers of the people who I'm calling out being like, ah, I didn't think of it that way. If
Right.
I'm just angry and reactive, then that's exactly what they're going to be back. But if I like kind of like shut them up with like actual like logic and sound reasoning, then it's hard for them to say anything. And
Yeah,
usually they respond like, "Oh, you're bald, you're fat and stuff." And I'm like, "All right, so I won."
exactly. It's really, if you make the personal attacks, you have nothing else to go on there. So, no, I mean, what I like about how you approach it, James, and is, I think, as you said, like you can be combative with somebody or, call somebody out, but if it's only to that person, then it's like a one-on-one battle. But when
Right.
you actually speak more to like the people that are actually following you, your community about like, hey, this is the message. I don't agree with it. This is why from there. Like that's a really powerful message. And being a follower of yours and seeing that work, that's how I feel as a consumer of getting in. And I've seen other people that some do it very well, others do it in more of a you guys just have, a piss match that's going back and forth. And if you want to be entertained, sure, you can go down that route. But if you actually want to get some value from it, that's why I think it's powerful. How do these videos come to you? Are people sending you these all the time and like then kind of checking it? Is that hard for you to go through? You're seeing so much bullshit throughout the day. Like, does sometimes it get just too much in your head of like, oh my God, I can't believe this stuff is still out there?
Yeah, I mean, there's some stuff where like I could tell that the person is begging for clout, and it's like too manufactured, and they're not serious. So like I don't call them out. And there's some people I just know that like are nuts, who I know would be problematic, who I don't call out. But if it's really toxic, and if I can see other people getting hurt from what's being said, then that's usually what drives me.
Yeah.
Or if I know that I could just make the creative content out of it or make a funny response.
Yeah. Yeah. So moving off from that into the coaching work you do with Zero Shortcuts from there, speaking to a lot of people, I'm sure they're coming to you from your following, your community and stuff. What are the major challenges that you see that people, come to you with right now? Is it not sure what to do, like kind of tried and fail? Like, what are the common struggles that people are coming to you normally with?
Sure. It's just a lack of accountability or mainly them believing their limiting beliefs. Like they don't realize that they created the reality that they're living. And I know that people have some circumstances that are unavoidable, but they truly believe that they're not able to achieve certain goals because they can't do all of it at the same time or do it at the capacity that they wish they could. And they don't understand that if you can only show up 50% one day, then you show up 100% of that 50%, and that is what it is. And your results may be slower than someone else or maybe a younger version of yourself, but it's still not nothing. And once they're convinced that they can actually see tangible changes or see growth that they didn't think was possible, then they're 10 times more likely to keep showing up and finally believe that they can do it.
Yeah.
So really, it's just them getting out of their own way, I
Yeah.
find. Yeah.
I just had this conversation with somebody said if you go from 0 days working out to working out 1 day, you just logically increased your output by 100%.
Yeah. Right. Right.
And it's like it's a funny way to think because yeah, it's 1 day, but like from going from zero on there, that is like actual you can't debate that that's logically progress,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. I say that all the time. It's like I had this client who really did mean a lot to me, but she really couldn't get out of her own way. And she was doing everything. She was walking like 8 to 10,000 steps. She was eating better. She was working out 3 days per week, and she did nothing, right? And she felt so good. But then she just went on the scale, and it was just an unfavorable number, whatever it was. And then all of that pride, everything that she was proud of, just all she was consumed by was that number. And unfortunately, she wanted just to try a faster method to do this, and the sustainable way wasn't working for her. She's like, hey, just how do I lose this just as soon as possible? Like get this many pounds in a week. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. Don't eat and just run like all day there. Like what?
Right.
What?
Yeah. Eat egg whites and then go. Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like I was a wrestler. I've lost like 7 pounds in like 6 hours. Like I know like what to do. I mean, it was all water weight.
Right.
But like it's not that I don't know what to do. It's that I'm not going to put you through that. You won't learn anything. You'll gain it right back and you'll be more fucked up. And that's why like I've gotten shit for like my like clients like before and afters not being like drastic. And it's like they've lost over 100 pounds or something. Just because like they're not like bodybuilding ready, you don't think that what they did takes extreme effort? Like I could easily just run them into the ground and get those photos, then what?
Yeah.
Like it's not my fault that your the perceptions are skewed based on what a fit individual actually is.
Yeah. I remember Dax Moy taught me this on the podcast because it says the word transformation is thrown out there so much in the fitness business of 12 weeks, and you have these before and afters with the perfect lighting and the afterward and everything there. And he says, no, that's a change program. That's not a transformation. Like they made a drastic change for a short period of time. He's like, show me the transformation, like not 12 weeks, but 3 years. Somebody
Right, right.
consistently staying on from there. Why do you think that is, though, Jay? I mean, I know it's a kind of a big cliche question there, but with self-limiting beliefs or people wanting to have that as fast as possible, do you think that is like a conditioned thing just from the messages that are out there so much from the fitness business, or do you think it's more of like a human nature thing that we want things to happen as fast as possible? What's your take on that?
Well, it's a sense of just feeling like you're not enough. Most of these people are very good caregivers. They're good at their job. They're good at other things that they prioritize, and there's a certain amount of guilt that they have for not prioritizing themselves. And then that guilt manifests into their skewed perception of themselves and their body, and they look at other people's bodies of what they're jealous of, and they compare it. And it's very hard for them to think that they can even get close to that based on their limited amount of experience. And anyone who has made a massive transformation and stuff like that, or has been through this before, they're very realistic about like, hey, I just like fell out of it for a while. I can like come back, I can do this. And like they know that they can like actually do it. But like anyone who never even went down that road before just thinks it's the most difficult sacrifice that you're ever going to have to make, and say goodbye to happiness, say goodbye to eating out, say goodbye to
Right.
this, and they make it toxic when it's actually supposed to improve your quality of life.
Yeah. Have you seen that change at all from now to when you first started? You've been doing this for a long time, from the mindset of people when you first got started into the challenges or struggles like from now, because things have adjusted a lot, specifically with comparison with social media and stuff like that. Have you seen a big shift at all in that, or does it still seem like it's pretty much the same constant struggles that we've had?
I'd say body dysmorphia and a false sense of accomplishment and worth is probably the worst it's ever been. I think that since COVID, a lot of people have been living in their phones and they're forgetting about actual reality and the value that human beings can like possess and with any career and anybody or like any amount of status, right? Like the fact that we have people out there who just like go to the beach or go to the grocery store and just scam people and just talk about obesity and this and that and stuff. It makes me sick because I'm like, I just see people. I see someone smiling. I see this. I see that. I never, ever have seen someone and thought, oh, okay, like I think less of them. And I think it's because people's new reality is what they're fed, and it's just toxic shit. And I think it's only getting worse. And I think it's going to push young men to steroids. I think it's pushing women to eating disorders. I think it's making everyone very depressed. And it's a shame. It really is. It makes me very sad.
Yeah. It is I think we've lost a lot of that aspect of empathy of just seeing the world through somebody else's eyes for a moment. There's a quote by Henry David Thoreau I wanted to share with you on empathy, which could a greater miracle take place than for us to look through each other's eyes for just an instant? And I'm like, as a coach, I'm like, fuck. I'm like, that is exactly it right there. I'm like, I think as a coach, one of the best things you can do is just sit with somebody and listen to actually what they're saying. And if they actually believe that you're listening to them, like, and you build trust from there, they'll do so much for you. They'll just go through a lot of plans for you from there. But I think as coaches, if we're going to take on this at all, like that's really the first step to look at.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it's amazing how many fitness advocates there are who just don't have an ounce of empathy. And I'm like, you really don't realize that that is 10 times more important than your abs ever could be.
Yeah.
And it's only getting worse because everyone is trying to impress their peers as opposed to talk to their audience.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah. Well, flip side. So I wanted to close with this. You recently became a father. You had a daughter in the
Yeah.
last year. So what has fatherhood taught you about yourself and how you view life and view the work that you do?
Well, the fact that she was in the NICU for 6 months, I now know that I can go through the most horrible time in my life and still show up and get shit done. And I know how to just be there for my wife and my family and for my clients, and also find a way to manage my own health and my mental health. And that gave me reassurance that, like, no matter what, everything's going to be okay. And I just want to continue to be that rock for my family. And it's very difficult at times, but again, I remind myself of what I went through, and I'm not so scared.
Yeah. How do you stay kind of grounded and balanced now with everything that you've got from successful business, of having a happy marriage, now a daughter? What's your process of making sure that you're keeping quality in everything that you're doing?
I welcome criticism from anyone and anything, as long as it's constructive, um, not from like trolls, but like I'll always listen to my mom. I'll always listen to my wife. I'll always listen to fellow colleagues, you know. I don't know if you've like seen it on my page, but like whenever either I mess up or they apologize, then I delete the video no matter how many views it has, and I say, hey, I made a mistake or something like that, or this person apologized. I don't want anyone else bothering them. And I just try to always keep my integrity no matter what I want to accomplish. And somehow I just keep moving forward. I keep moving up. And as long as I'm doing that, then I know I'm doing something right. And I don't have to be sleazy. I don't have to be salesy. It just all kind of falls into place.
Yeah. It's amazing what integrity can do, right?
Right. Yeah. It's just you have to have enough faith that everything will work out.
Yeah.
I feel like there's like so many people who forget when they're in the shit of it, they forget what they overcame in the past that could have been worse. And it's like you're just being so consumed by this now, but in a world full of variables, you're the constant and you're the reason why you keep moving forward. So you're going to get past this as well. You just
Yeah.
have to keep be you and the best parts of you.
Yeah. That's it's one of the reasons I called this podcast the Strength Connection, because I said there's other areas of strength that you can utilize in certain areas. If, maybe you're really successful in your physical health and you're working on business and you're struggling there, like the same principles you can flow into that. You've built strength before, the same thing with family or so. So it's a very similar path. James Cappola, dude, I really appreciate you coming on. I've really, as I said, been a fan of yours for a while, and just, seeing the work that you're doing, and, aiming up and just putting a positive message out there. I think if we're going to combat this at all in the world, and, just make it stronger and make it happier, people like you are doing a really good job. So I appreciate it.
Thanks, man. And thank you for having me. I really do appreciate it. And if you ever want to hit me up to chat, I'll be happy to.
I love it. Yeah. If people want to check you out, if they haven't seen you already, what's the best place that they can go and check out all the work that you're doing?
I'm mainly on my Instagram, James underscore Capola, and there's my TikTok, no, J underscore Capola Fit Coach, and my YouTube and Facebook. I'm still building, so don't worry about that.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, till next time, brother. Really appreciate you. So, listeners, thank you so much. Catch you on the next one. Peace.